which to me is engineering.
And you know, Bill,
using science to make stuff.
One of the things that plagues me is how President Trump and some of the people around him just deny the science.
That is weird.
We have an analogy here. We have the COVID crisis. By denying the science that the great medical experts told us in terms of COVID, we made it much worse. Trump and others made it much worse. Climate change is that writ large. If we deny the science, if we ignore the science that people like you understand so well and can explain to everybody so well, the crisis we will have with climate will make the COVID crisis, awful as it is, seem tame, even in the number of people who just die because the earth is no longer habitable in the way it used to be in so many parts of the globe. So this is serious stuff, and we need everybody on board to help us push the kind of plan that takes the carbon dioxide, reduces it in the atmosphere, creates jobs, creates equity. We have a great coalition to do it.
So another thing I hope you as a leader can help people understand, there's a perception on the conservative side that when somebody gets something, it means they took something from somebody else.
Yeah. Yeah.
There's this perception that it's the expression, the phrase everybody uses nowadays is zero sum. That is to say, if somebody gets something, that means somebody else had to give it up. No, there's sunlight and wind and water. We can do this. Everybody's quality of life can be much higher. And so let's go at this optimistically.
Yeah, there's an American expression that's the opposite of sum zero. Grow the pie. Grow the pie for everybody. We're going to grow the climate pie so that everybody has a nice, healthy piece and is happy. And it'll be a pie that is healthy for you.
So I'm excited about the future, but the sooner we get going, the better.
You bet.
And I just really appreciate you taking the time. Do you have any other things we need to cover?
Well, all I would say is to all your listeners, and you have such a great broad listenership, please contact your elected officials. You don't have to know all the details. Tell them we must do something here. We can do something, and it's going to be better economically in terms of equality and in terms of our quality of life for everybody. This is not, as you said, a sum zero game. This is a grow the pie. And let me just, Donald Trump is trying to spread all this misinformation. He's even said it'll get cooler. But his own scientists say that we're going to continue to break record temperatures because of all the carbon in the atmosphere. Tell us what's going on.
Well, so everybody, the earth is kept warm enough for us to live here so that we have liquid water, water vapor, which is an invisible gas that we all rely on, and solid water, ice. And we have all this liquid water because the world is just warm enough to keep it liquid. And that warmth is held under the Earth's surface by the gases in the atmosphere. And you've heard of them. Carbon dioxide is the most important because there's so much of it and we produce so much more than would normally be there without human activity. And you've heard of methane, and there's some other smaller ones, smaller fractions rather. But these gases allow sunlight to come through the atmosphere, hit the Earth's surface, where the light, which is about 500 nanometers, 500 billionth of a meter in wavelength, stretches out to 1,000, 1,200 nanometers in wavelength, and that's heat. And that heat is held in by the carbon dioxide and the other greenhouse gases. And this has been discovered a long time ago. And since it's such a tiny fraction of the atmosphere, it's barely 0.04% of the atmosphere. It seems like a tiny fraction. But when you double it, or you 1.5 times it, you change the temperature of the Earth's surface. So the number everybody throws around, in 1750, when James Watt invented the most successful steam engine, and we use the expression, the unit watt now, which is named after him. You buy your electricity, everybody, in metric units. I don't want to scare you, but that's how it's always been. James Watt invented a very successful steam engine in 1750, and that's when we like to start measuring. There were about 280 parts per million of carbon dioxide in the atmosphere. Well, now there's 410. We've added so much carbon dioxide so quickly. And that's the problem, everybody. It's the speed that we've added this carbon dioxide that is causing all this trouble.
Bill, the changes that everybody sees, average folks, the hurricanes, the wildfires, all these changes in our weather. I like to say on the southern shore of Long Island,